Hi, my name is Anjali and my student ID is 20235286. Today I will discuss about the challenging stereotypes and promoting social justice through all are welcome. The current slide gives a preview of the critical analysis of all are welcome, which entails embracing significant models to incorporate social justice, intersectionality, and anti-bias education. It focuses on the need to use picture books to build the sense of belonging and early identification in children. The argument has been contextualized to the EYLF 2.0 and the National Quality Standard to render the curriculum pertinent. It will be focused on assessing the degree to which the book promotes the idea of inclusion and equity and evaluating its failures. It will be grounded on the scholarly perspectives to gain insights on how such readings can be used by practitioners to the inclusive practice and social justice learning environments. The next slide will include the overview of the book, narrative, and the structure. The book is a school day and children of various status having typical activities. The repetitive sentence helps in the support of the concepts of inclusion and belonging. It is significant that the visual representations describe the diversity across the aspects of culture, language, and family structures. Despite a very accommodative and inclusive message in the book, the issue of diversity is mostly introduced on the shallow note. In this slide, the researcher will address the cultural diversity in the book. Clothing, language, and symbols are a visual depiction that displays diversity to the children depending on the fact that they demonstrate a range of identities, such as representation is not analytical, even though it encourages inclusiveness. The cultural identities are also depicted without details that limits understanding of social realities. The intersectionality perspectives provide multiple identities without examining and analyzing them using a power or inequality perspective. So, it is a slide dedicated to the problem of bias and stereotypes presented in the book. The text does not present negative representations, but on the contrary, the diversity is normalized in the school setting, inclusive language, and imaginary help in positive identity development. Still, it is possible that there is no conflict or discrimination that helps children to realize the presence of bias in the real life. Anti-bias education aids in the training to observe injustice and critical thinking. The book is a fictionalized narrative of inclusive which cannot succeed in bringing the challenges that the marginalized groups may face. This slide addresses how the book encourages equality and diversity. It also promotes sense of belonging and sharing, which also aligns with EYLF outcome 2, which emphasizes connection and contribution. The values of the classroom settings are also inclusive because they encourage respect among children. However, structural inequalities such as language barriers or economic differences are not discussed in the writing. This limits its ability to tap equality to the fullest. It is the role of the teacher to make the message of the book are more complete and incorporate more information on the issues of fairness and justice. The following slide is on the text discussing the strengths and the strengths-based approach. Children are perceived as competent and aggressive learners and they influence the environment positively. The concept of diversity is brought in as something that brings better learning and relationships. This enhances constructive identity formation and it is in line with the inclusive pedagogical practices. However, the representation is superficial and does not explore personal cultural information and input. This slide analyzes the intersectionality theory as it applies to the text, even though the book graphically represents the life of multiple identities. It fails to answer the question that concerns the relationship of identities in terms of power and inequality systems. Absence of critical debate denies the information on the operation of privilege and marginalization. Intersectionality means examining overlapping identities and the way they shape society, which is not explored in this story in all regards. The book promotes solidarity and is poor in terms of analyzing inequality. However, the teachers must go a step further and address the problem of social justice and equity. This will help the children to adopt a more holistic and cultural perspective of diversity. In the next slide, these evaluates the book through the anti-bias and social justice approaches. It promotes identity and diversity through encouragement of belonging and representation. However, it is not exhaustive when it comes to the elements of justice and action. Discrimination lack minimizes subsequent education. Teacher teaching is needed to ensure its influence is more common. The issues of fairness, inclusion, and inequality are discussed constructively. In the next slide, this provides pedagogical recommendations concerning the ways in which the book could be implemented. Educators can design activities such as discussion, role play, cultural mapping to talk about identity and inclusion. The book adheres to the principles of EYLF since it promotes the principles of belonging and respect to diversity. It is also supportive of the NQuest quality areas 1 and 6, which are inserted in educational programs and family partnerships. Instructors can increase the educational activity with families in which children exchange their experiences. This slide speculates on the book review, and the most positive aspect of the book is the fact that it promotes the development of inclusion, belonging, and positive identity. Even though diversity is represented, it is idealized and lacks contact with more serious social issues. Critical comprehension is inhibited by the absence of structural inequality. Its impacts require multiplication with help of teacher facilitation to promote the creation of worthwhile learning on diversity, justice, and equity. So these are the references. Thank you.